All right, let's get into it. Today, we're kicking off a pretty epic 6-month quest. Our goal? To take you from being an AI enthusiast to a truly production-ready AI engineer. And look, this isn't about just understanding the theory. It's about building real, solid systems, the kind of stuff that actually gets you hired. So, let's jump in.
So here's the map for our journey today. We'll start by defining what this quest is all about. Then we'll get into forging your foundation, mastering the modern tech stack, and learning how to build for actual users. And to wrap it up, we'll cover how to prove your mastery and ask that one big question: what are you going to build?
So what's the core challenge here? Well, it all comes down to this. There is a huge, massive gap between knowing about AI, maybe from a course or a textbook, and actually building AI systems that work in the real world, reliably and at scale. Nailing that difference, well, that's what gets you the job.
And this slide just nails that divide perfectly. On the left, you've got research code. Think of it as those scripts you write in a notebook just to prove a concept. They run once, it works, and you move on. That's fine. But on the right, that's our destination, production code. We're talking systems that are built to scale, to be maintained by a team, and to be robust enough to handle the chaos of the real world. Getting from the left side to the right side, that's the entire quest.
Okay, so let's start building. The first 2 months are all about forging that foundation. Seriously, these are the skills you just can't skip. Trying to build anything cool without them is like trying to build a castle on sand. It's not going to end well.
Month 1 is all about software rigor. We're leveling up from basic Python. We're talking advanced features like type hinting, which is a lifesaver for catching bugs early. We're also getting into professional-grade version control with Git and setting up CI/CD workflows. Those are the automated systems that test your code before anyone else sees it. This is how you write code that other engineers can actually rely on.
Now, in month 2, before we even think about deep learning, we're going to master applied machine learning. Why? Because honestly, most business problems, the ones that pay the bills, still run on good old tabular data. You've got to be a pro with tools like pandas and polars, and you need to know how to use powerful workhorse algorithms like XGBoost for things like fraud detection. It's just fundamental.
Which brings us to a super important point. You have to move beyond just looking at simple accuracy. And the F1 score is the perfect example. So imagine you're trying to find a handful of fraudulent transactions in a sea of millions of normal ones. A model that just guesses nothing is fraud would be 99.9% accurate, right? But it would also be completely useless. The F1 score gives us a much better picture by balancing precision and recall, basically telling us how many of the actual fraud cases we managed to find.
All right, foundation is set. Time to climb the mountain and master the modern stack. Months 3 and 4 are where we get our hands on the tools that are really defining AI engineering today. This is where things get fun. In month 3, it's all about deep learning and MLOps. This means picking a framework like PyTorch and really mastering it, understanding the big architectures like transformers, and knowing how to optimize for GPUs. But building the model is only half the story. You also need the discipline of production AI, using Docker to containerize your work so it runs anywhere, and tracking every single experiment with tools like MLflow or weights and biases. No more, it worked on my machine.
And then we hit month 4, generative AI. I mean, this is the core of the whole revolution we're in right now. We're moving away from models that just predict a number to systems that can actually understand, reason, and create. Yep, we're talking about large language models.
So how do we give these super powerful models a long-term memory? Or teach them about our own private data? The answer? Vector databases. Think of it like a special library for an AI. Instead of organizing books by title, it organizes ideas by their meaning. It stores the meaning of all your documents as these mathematical things called vectors, and then the AI can find the most relevant information almost instantly. This is the absolute key to building smart, context-aware apps.
And that technology is what makes the RAG pipeline possible. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and it's our best weapon against models hallucinating or making things up. Look at how it works. Instead of just asking the LLM a question directly, we first go and retrieve relevant factual documents from our vector database. Then we augment the user's prompt with that verified context and tell the LLM, hey, generate an answer based only on these documents. It's all about grounding the AI in truth.
Let's be real. An AI model that's just sitting in a Jupyter notebook, it's a cool science experiment, but it's not useful yet. For it to have any impact, people have to actually be able to use it. And month 5 is all about building that bridge to the user with full-stack integration.
So this means building out the whole experience. You'll need a fast backend API using something like Fast API, a slick, responsive user interface with React, and you've got to manage all the data. But here's a critical detail for Gen AI apps, streaming the response token by token. You know how ChatGPT types out the answer? That's streaming. It makes the app feel incredibly fast and alive, which is what everyone expects now.
Okay, we've made it to the final phase of our quest, month 6. This is where you graduate from being a coder to being an architect. This is the final challenge, where you learn to think about whole systems at scale and really prove you're ready for those senior-level roles.
This means you're learning to design systems that won't fall over when thousands of users hit them at once. It's about building complex multi-agent systems, where you have teams of specialized AIs collaborating to solve problems. And of course, it's about deploying the whole shebang to the cloud, making it real and available to the world on platforms like AWS or Google Cloud.
But just learning this stuff isn't enough, right? The final, most important step is to prove you can do it. And you do that with concrete projects. A killer portfolio is what's going to separate you from the pack and land you that job.
And this slide basically lays out the 3 trophies you should have in your portfolio at the end of this quest. First, a classic data pipeline, like a churn prediction system. This proves you have the fundamentals locked down. Second, a modern RAG application, like a chat with your PDF tool that shows you can build with LLMs safely. And finally, an advanced multi-agent workflow. This shows you're on the cutting edge. Each of these projects showcases a different, vital set of skills that employers are absolutely desperate for right now.
And just like that, we've reached the end of our roadmap. I mean, think about it. Over 6 months, you've gone from the very basics of writing solid code all the way to deploying complex, autonomous AI systems. And from here, your quest continues. The transformation here is huge. You're not just someone who gets AI concepts anymore, no. You're now someone who builds AI products. You can take an idea from a blank sheet of paper to a real, working application that people can use and get value from.
So you've got the map, you know the path, you know the tools. The only question left is the one that really matters. What are you going to build first?